What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Subscribers, if you're returning, thank you for the support. If you're new here to the channel, we've got some good Wingspan gameplay for you. It's our favorite game. We're going to continue to play it. Let's get right into card selection, and then we're going to speak on a bird that is probably on your top 5 never play list. So let's get into it. Starting off, we like the Goldcrest. If you've seen any of our other videos, you've probably seen how we feel about the Goldcrest. Got a couple videos on that. And we have a great crested grebe. For card draw, Eleanor's Falcon matches the first end of round goal. So I'm thinking about the Falcon, but it doesn't necessarily help me with extra cards. And for the Goldcrest, I need extra cards. We go second in this game. We don't have great bonus cards, and instead of Behaviorist, which I feel like is barely ever chosen, you might get 3 points. We go with the dreaded Bird Feeder bonus card where you need like 8 birds to get 7 or 8 points. Anyway, we pass on the Falcon and we take the black-chinned hummer. And my first card draw is Blue Jay out of the gate. I need a lot of food for the mechanic that we are going to utilize today. As soon as I do that, the Preceded woodpecker is in the tray. My opponent plays the dirtiest bird in the game right now, the black-headed gull. I'm upset about the black-headed gull because we're going to be stolen from, but the Preceded woodpecker was left, and so Preceded woodpecker with Goldcrest usually turns out in my favor. And here we go. My opponent is already stealing my food, and we want to take, you saw the thumbnail, the common moorhen. I know it's going to be left in the tray. It is never anybody's first pickup, but we will touch on that bird in a second when we have it. Here's where we do a little debating on what we want to play first. I start off with Goldcrest because I normally play it in the F1 spot, but I play black-chin hummingbird to start because there are no berries in the bird feeder at all. And I want to start getting extra food when I gain food. Some people might think, well, why didn't you stick the hummingbird in the grassland, lay eggs, and get a berry, and go from there? Which I understand, but as you will see throughout this game, we're going to hardly ever lay eggs, and then that hummingbird is pretty much meaningless. And I want to start collecting as much food as possible for this common moorhen. All right, and my opponent plays a pink power, the common cuckoo. You know, I think I'm going to lay eggs once here, but maybe twice. I lied, maybe twice. But after that, once I get the Preceded woodpecker down, that cuckoo shouldn't be active. We get the great crested grebe down, so we'll get to see like 4 cards upon activation. And again, my opponent steals from me, so we're trying to do our best to set up our game. What are we doing now? Okay, yeah, here's where we lay eggs because we do want to get this Goldcrest down. And so their cuckoo's going to activate, and we will pick up the common moorhen at some point in this game. My opponent goes with Northern Cardinal, which is a nice forest bird. Okay, yeah. So here we go. We pick up the common moorhen, and get some extra cards. Because with the Goldcrest, you need extra cards. For the moorhen, you need extra food. This is going to be an interesting game. I think a lot of people wouldn't even bother to do the moorhen, but you've seen the gulls, you've seen the killdeers, you've seen the ravens, you've seen us score 100 points, 120, 140 recently. Check out what happens as soon as I draw this common moorhen. Eastern Imperial Eagle gets replaced in the tray. I'm stolen from again, And because we've drawn cards like 3 times, yeah, 3 times, this is actually a pretty slow round 1. So take note of this round 1 because it is soon going to accelerate with the 2 birds we're about to play, the Goldcrest and the Moorhen. Together, I'm hoping they can pay off and show you that they can be good at some point. You know, sometimes you call birds situational. Like, that's just a situational bird. That's just a situational bird. But this is the situation. Okay, if you've seen the end of round goals, after this first end of round, it's not egg heavy at all. We're talking total birds in a row. And I decided to lay eggs there again because I can tie the end of round goal. And I just thought, you know, I could have played Goldcrest there and got a 0 and given my opponent a 4-point advantage. So I decided to lay eggs, and in hindsight, it helps me with the goal, but it is a slow round 1. You normally want to get 3 birds in. I'm not too concerned. We got the Goldcrest and the Moorhen doing work, or going to do work. I think at this point, I really like the Auto Wings Gull and the American Bittern. I need extra wetland birds. I keep building this Moorhen up. I keep building this Goldcrest up. But round 2 and 3 are the money rounds for this mechanic that I'm hoping maybe can convince you to try it. And with the Great Crested Grebe, I'm seeing 4 cards. I only get to keep 1. I go back and forth between the Goldeneye, but end up selecting the Mute Swan. If the bird feeder allows, we may drop this Mute Swan in and maybe get some extra tucks. It's not my main focal point here. I also like the Warbler at this point too. But we decide to start our game. I mean, this is one of our slower starts, and we need to progress our board. So we roll the dice and hope that the yellow-rumped warbler is available for later. My opponent plays the blue-winged warbler, which is a strong, 7-point white power. And here we go. Let's get this Goldcrest started. We've got a lot of good birds in our hand, but we need to chunk some. So here's where I'll get in the comments, you should have kept this, you should have kept that. But I'm telling you, it's gonna work out. It's gonna be okay. There's probably some mistakes in here, but we like the Goldcrest. We've had a lot of practice with the Goldcrest. And I'm debating which one to chunk. And even though I picked up the Bittern, and it's 7 points, I'm debating between Auto Wings Gull, the Bittern, and the Mute Swan. Because I've got a few wetland options here. And at the time, I'm thinking Auto Wings Gull, at least I'm scoring a point. And so we chunked the American Bittern because I'm not going to activate that brown power much. But here we go with the Goldcrest, playing the Preceded Woodpecker, which is going to be clutch. So now you want to play the Preceded Woodpecker after the Goldcrest, because if the Preceded Woodpecker was before the Goldcrest, sometimes you might get caught not being able to activate the Goldcrest because you don't have the eggs. So there was a method to the madness there. The Preceded Woodpecker goes after the Goldcrest if you try it out. A mourning dove would be great. Some other egg-laying bird in the forest. This Oceania version coming out soon. It gives you so many options in the forest. I can't wait to try it out. But here we go. This is going to be a lot of gaining food and drawing cards. And we're going to see what we chunk here. Since we don't have just a ton of cards available to chunk, we have to make some cuts. Like, what's the most important? Because I do want to utilize this Goldcrest. I don't really want to afford turns skipping it. And so I go with the Blue Jay here. I think the Chickadee is more consistent for points, but the Blue Jay obviously helps me gain more seeds. And for this Moorhen to work, at the start of round or at the end of round 2, I need excess food. And the blue jay is a little bit better than the chickadee for gaining food. We're not trying to have a big point scoring engine. This is all about playing birds. Remember, we only had 2 birds down in round 2. It was pretty slow, probably not our best. And, this is all about getting excess food, excess cards for this air sando approach. My opponent didn't have any cavity nests on their board, so I was kind of excited about that. The woodpecker and the grebe could go to work without giving my opponent an egg. But they got the northern flicker down, so here we go. And let's see, this time I do skip the Goldcrest. There is an argument I could have played the chickadee right here, but this yellow-rumped warbler is still sitting in the tray. And so I've kind of got my eyes on that, and I'm going to grab it before the end of the round. Speaking of the end of the round, it's birds worth greater than 4 points, and that's the whole reason we kept the gannet. And eventually, you're going to see this common moorhen work. I've had a Goldcrest moorhen game before, but you know what we do. We don't record those fun games sometimes, so I'm really excited that I got to try it out this game and show you what it can do. Here's the moorhen down right here. 3 food for 3 points. I talked about it earlier. It's a situational bird, and so we picked this to be the situation since eggs aren't a priority, hoping to get some good draw power. And that black-chinned hummingbird that we played early on has collected extra berries for us. So we are passing out berries, of course, but I'm excited to use this moorhen and accelerate this engine. Just making sure here, I think we're gonna still play gannet, do a little time skip, and pick up this yellow-rumped warbler, and we might as well take the Atlantic puffin as well. That's the perfect card for what we're doing today. 6 egg spaces on the moorhen, a star nest, but I can't say I recommend this bird all the time. If you think you're gonna have excess food, go for it. But like we said, we only had 2 birds in round 1, and here we are at the end of round 2 and we have 7. So a lot of times new players, I'm talking about in my previous videos, play birds that let you combine actions. Like if you can gain food while laying eggs, or if you can lay eggs while drawing cards. In this scenario, we're combining the play a bird action. Why not play birds while gaining food, play birds while drawing cards? So you saw my opponent plays Eastern Imperial Eagle. We knew that was coming, a nice 9-point play with the egg cost included. We don't have any eggs, so you know what we're doing. We're going back to our forest. And it's really nice how the wetlands feeds that Goldcrest, because you need those extra cards to chunk in order to perform that action. Here we go, the blue jay coming through. Here come our eggs. And even though this is a negative play, I like the yellow-rumped warbler because we're going to be able to get 1 extra card if we need to. Now that our forest engine is complete, the Goldcrest did its job, we're going to have an excess of food. We might as well tuck a card and see another card while we're at it. Here we go, my opponent doing his or her stealing thing, and I've got my eyes on the mute swan. We might as well go ahead and play a bird while we draw some more cards. I lied. We don't have any eggs, so we're going to repeat the warbler. getting a little ahead of myself. I like the mute swan, but we might pick up something better if I recall. Could really use some fish here. We get 0 fish on the reroll. That Atlantic puffin looks like it's going to have to wait. The Bob White is really nothing. One thing about this game, my bonus cards are nothing to write home about. Bird Feeder is not in my top 5 bonus cards at all. You have to get 5 birds just to get 3 points with a seed. But it was either that or Behaviorist. You see, I pulled a red knot, and since we're at the back end of the game, I think at this point I'm changing my stance. Instead of the mute swan, I'm thinking we go red knot here. I don't know how many more times I'm going to be drawing cards, and the red knot is 5 points. It gives me extra cards, and I may get lucky on a bonus. So we'll see. We'll see. The mute swan, of course, tucks, but I don't know how many more times we're going to be doing that. Check out this gannet. I've never done that before. I cashed 2 fish on that one action. A lot of people just gloss over that brown power. You're rolling dice outside of the bird feeder, but the gannet lets you cash as many fish as you can roll on the gannet. So I think that's like the first time that I've actually rolled 2 fish. Kind of like it. Here we go with the red knot. Crossing our fingers here. We have to do a little forcing. And we pick up Backyard Birder. So, we are stacked up on cards. The white stork is a nice pull. It's nice that we get to play a bird while drawing those cards, but Backyard Birder, I think that's another bonus card where you have to get 5 birds for just 3 points. And we do qualify for that. You can see our board. We don't have big victory point birds on our board at all. So I'm really anxious to play, white stork, Atlantic puffin. We drew was it a long spur? That bonus card bird? So we're going to refill on eggs while we are at it. And that Preceded woodpecker may be the MVP this game because I can't play any birds without it. We're making a big deal about this moorhen and the Goldcrest. I think you see the Goldcrest a lot more than the moorhen because the Goldcrest is one food. But the moorhen and the Goldcrest can accelerate your game. I'm not sure it can completely save your game. Like a raven or a killdeer or any of those other strong or pretty strong birds, white stork, even my opponent's black-headed gull. Like, you can work your game around those and score a lot of points. But here we're trying to prove that the moorhen is viable. Okay? It's viable. At least that's the goal. I will say this is a very close game. I will not say who wins, but this is getting an upload regardless to YouTube because when's the last time you saw anybody play the common moorhen? Check out my opponent's board. They play the Benelli's Eagle right next to the Eastern Imperial Eagle. It pains me. Look at these bonus card draws. This is a 0-0. It's either Breeding Manager or Bird Bander. I have a white stork, so maybe I draw some crazy Bird Bander cards, but at this point of the game, I didn't think I'd be laying a ton of eggs, but I think I should have gone Breeding Manager right there. Pains me to say it, but pretty disappointing from that long spur to, we've got 10 birds on the board already. Some games you end at 10 birds, or 9 birds, or 11 birds. And we've got 6 turns left in the game. And that's just the power of the Goldcrest and the Moorhen. I'm just going to repeat it throughout this video. It accelerates your game so much, from 2 birds in round 1 to a lot more. So that's what I like about it. My opponent plays the American Crow, trying to tie this end of round goal. I think we're both at 10 birds right now, but you see the writing on the wall. In the W5 spot, the Atlantic Puffin is coming. We're going to draw cards, and it's big Moorhen energy. Love it. Discarding the extra food. 6 points by itself. Finally, we get some bonus card luck. Enclosure Builder for 7. So that turned into a 13-point play, and probably a 16-point play because we just won the goal. We're gold crested out. We've maxed out our Moorhen. We've got a grassland to play. More birds. It's not worth it to lay eggs in this game. It is not worth it, and that's just the style of game this is with the end around goals. And this Warbler is coming in clutch. We pick up the American Woodcock. We're debating caching right here, but I think we need to take, because we take it. There's 2 or 3 birds here that are expensive, and we need all the food we can. We didn't get any fish on the reroll, which hurts me with the stork. I pause a little bit here. I'm debating playing the red-legged partridge. Somebody can do the math and tell me if the red-legged partridge was a better play. You know, there's an argument you could lay the partridge down and then lay eggs the next 3 times for 6 points. But I go ahead with the American Woodcock there for 8 points straight ahead. And I don't know, I think just the 9-point victory points on the card won out on that decision. And I'm kind of bummed about this white stork. We could force it down right here for 7 points. And then my last 2 turns, we just lay 3 eggs. So to me, at the time, this isn't a tournament game. We go with the Dick Sissel, which kind of out of left field here. It's kind of late for that, but it's you know, a 4-point boost versus the red-legged partridge. And then my last 2 turns are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, and then 5 points. So I like how we ended the game. We needed that extra push. I think if our bonus card draw was a little better, this would have been a lot higher scoring game. I mean, we're sitting at 13 birds now. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments about this Moorhen. I mean, I'm not saying it's the next sleeper or even that it's underrated, but I liked how quick we were able to put birds down. And ultimately, well, I'll wait for the scoreboard to see what you think, but I like how we played it. I like giving it a try. And the Dick Sissel gets a couple points for us. My opponent played a Great Horned Owl and got some cuckoo activations with the pink power, so that took away a couple points on the last 2 turns. But overall, it was fun. This is a very tight game. You can see they had both eagles, the pink power. We tied that last end around goals, and I thought their bonus cards would probably be better here. So again, neck and neck, 57 bird points, A lot of those birds were under 4 points. End of round goals. Here comes my opponent back with the eggs. And check it out, guys. We get the dub, 102.99. There's more than one way to score 100 points for sure. But, oh, my opponent had Food Web Expert. But we scored 100 with 2 birds to start. It's Goldcrest, Moorhen, best friends. Give it a try. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more content. I like showcasing weird birds. This was a weird game. See you next time. Peace!